Hey everybody, Generally Irritable here. I don't want to say I'm excited to interview you, Mr. Younger, but I am excited that we get to give you a platform for your story. Some of you may have heard about the circumstance. Can I say his name? Sure. Okay. A young boy in Texas, his name is James. His mother is forcing this young boy to transition into a girl. And so it's been this whole boondoggle, for lack of a better word, and the court has actually been ruling against you, the father, trying to keep your son from being transitioned into a girl. Would you mind sharing with our viewers a little bit about where you are in the process? They're trying to actually put you in jail for speaking out. There's a gag order.
It's illegal for me to be talking to you right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not allowed to talk about any issue, political issue around LGBT issues. I'm not allowed to talk about transgenderism. I'm not even allowed to tell you whether my son is a boy or a girl. And these are obviously unconstitutional gag orders.
Infringements of speech.
They violate both my constitutional rights and my civil rights. And so I don't follow unconstitutional laws, orders, and mandates. Yeah. So I'm here talking to you.
Well, and since when does the government get to decide what happens to your kid or not?
I'll tell you exactly when they get to.
Oh, okay.
They get to when you let them.
Yeah, that's...
People comply with unconstitutional laws.
And
they let them do it.
It's almost, what I found in my experience is the government will do some nonsense, knowing that it's illegal or wrong or whatever, and then they just hope that nobody holds them to account.
That's correct.
So basically you have to take them to court to prove that whatever they're doing is wrong, even though everybody on earth can see what's happening is wrong.
That's right.
Okay.
And I'm just one of those people that, hey, I'm willing to go to federal court, state court. I'm willing to go to jail. If I have to go to jail to get standing to challenge the constitutionality of this gag order, that's just what I'll do.
Because why? Because
I have to protect my son. And there are no limits that a father has on protecting his son. And the least I can do is speak up for him, for God's sake. That's the minimum.
I'm going to try. I told you I was going to try not to get emotional and mad or cry in this interview. So I'm going to try. But what I can't even imagine what it's like to be the father of a young child and just watching people abuse him. And you're not allowed to, you can't even really get mad or express, like if it were my kid, I would be raging out, I would be breaking stuff, I'd be burning stuff down. But
family courts, any expression of male emotion is severely punished as violence. So it just hit me one time. I was in a deposition. I've been in a continuous lawsuit for 6 years. Deposition after deposition.
This has been going on for 6 years.
I get sued every year in July when I get vacation time with my son. She sues me every year.
Okay, all right.
So, it just hit me that, I'm going to have to watch my son be sexually abused, because I believe it's a sexual abuse of a minor.
Agreed.
I'm going to have to watch that, and I'm going to beat them by being calm.
Yeah.
If I'm calmer than they are, I can beat them.
Yeah.
So I look at being calm as a kind of a weapon, and that's the only way I've been able to do it.
Well, isn't that what MLK talked about in the Civil Rights March, where because there was already this stigma of black people, right? That they were crazy and deranged or whatever the nonsense crap was that they said back then. And now, just as much, maybe not, I shouldn't say that. Everybody's going to get mad at me for comparing the Civil Rights Movement, sorry. But male energy, men's energy is being demeaned and diminished.
Big time.
Also.
Big time.
So it's like if you're upset, reasonably so, because you're watching someone abuse your child, you're not allowed to show.
I had an actual psychologist testify at my trial in 2019. We had a huge showdown between the world's greatest transgender experts on both sides of this in Dallas County and in the 255th District Court in Dallas. In this little courtroom, the world's greatest experts on transgender medicine showed up for my trial on both sides.
Okay.
But a psychologist actually testified during that trial. He said, I understand that Mr. Younger believes his child is being abused, but even considering that, he was very angry. Really? What is exactly the appropriate emotional state one is supposed to have when one's child is being abused?
This is the kind of nonsense that I'm talking. This is the kind of nonsense that I'm talking about. Because you're supposed to just be like, oh yay!
Oh yeah. I'm supposed to be. Oh well. Let me offer you some logical reasons you shouldn't sexually abuse my kid. I mean, these people are crazy.
Okay, so this is in Dallas, right? Everybody thinks that Texas is this safe haven for conservative ideals.
Oh dear.
So we were just talking to gubernatorial candidate Don. Oh my God, I'm gonna Huffines. I've been so afraid I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. And he was saying there's 70 elected seats. There's 70 elected positions in Dallas County, and only 2 of them are held by Republicans.
That's correct.
And not that those Republicans, I don't know who these people are. Are they even actually conservative?
No.
Or they're just rhinos?
They're right.
Okay.
Total rhinos.
So it's basically Dallas County has been taken over.
Yes.
Which is why, because now, is this
it's so bad. Let me just give you an idea of how bad it is in Dallas County.
Okay.
The last election cycle, we lost every single election for judges. Every single Republican judge was put out of office and a Democrat was elected. We lost the entire appeals court. Every commissioner's court position was taken by Democrats. Republicans lost every election. That is statistically improbable.
Yeah,
I'm just going to point that out. It's basically Trump election, a pre-run of the Trump election.
Okay, so everybody that thinks, it's Texas so great, everybody's moving here. It's not okay. Also, election integrity, make sure you have voting rights, make sure that stuff is all tight, because nobody's safe, even in Texas. But now, when you were speaking off air a little while ago, you mentioned that this is not just in Dallas County, and that your case is not alone in the state of Texas.
No.
Right? Because how many boys did you say they've removed their testicles?
Over 200.
Over 200 young boys in the state of Texas.
And over 200 pubescent girls. These are girls that are under 15 have had total mastectomies.
Total mastectomies. So children who we don't allow to drink, smoke cigarettes.
Can't get a tattoo?
Can't get a tattoo.
Till you're 18?
But you can get your boobs cut off.
And you can get your testicles and penis removed.
I can't.
And there are actual people, I like to personalize things. We talk about these abstractions.
Yeah.
There are surgeons or whatever. No, there are actual people in doctors' offices that are sedating pubescent boys and cutting their penis and testicles off. And that's happening right now in Austin, Texas.
This is a special kind of sickness that I don't understand. I'm a recovering drug addict. I've known a lot of people who did a lot of bad things because they were drug addicts or, whatever. I've known mentally ill people who were off their meds and committed crimes and have done a whole bunch of other things. But this is somehow legalized, sanctioned mutilation of children.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the institutionalization of the sexual mutilation of children. And I think we should pause for a moment because your government issues are big to you.
Yeah.
Politics is downstream of culture.
Right.
One of the problems I've had with the libertarian movement, because I was a libertarian for most of my life, is that it seems to want to take a very hands-off approach to culture. So let me give you an example of this. So let's imagine the most totalitarian society that you can muster in your imagination. I'm thinking 1984, Brave New World. Maybe for some of your listeners, it'll be North Korea or something like
that.
China.
I remember Tiananmen Square, stuff like that.
You might be able to torture a father into looking at his boy and say, okay, it's a girl. You might be able to torture a man to say that. I don't believe you could torture a man into actually believing it. But we have 40% of our fellow citizens who will look at a boy and say, that's actually a girl, and they actually believe it.
No, they don't. No, they can't. all I can think is that it must just be, right, so we live in this super privileged society.
Yes.
Right? Okay, American privilege, let's call
Yes.
it that. We live in the wealthiest country
do.
in the world.
We
We
do.
have freedoms, we have this, we have that, we have everything, right?
Yes.
And I feel like, or it occurs for me, like that, the amount of peace and prosperity that we have had and experienced in this country has caused people to, like, we get to be nice to each other. We actually don't have to be at war with our neighbors. We're not fighting over land. We're not fighting over resources. Here in America, we're good,
Yes.
right? And so then what we've done is, like, we just want to be nice to each other, right? Libertarians, live and let live,
Yes.
right? Gay movement in the 80s and
Yes.
90s, and like gay marriage, and
Yes.
you want gay marriage, great. The state cannot discriminate. You're
Right.
correct, and we're going to support you in that, and whatever. And so we try to be reasonable, and kind, and understanding.
Yes.
Even Christians, we want you to be happy.
Yes.
We want you to be loved. We want you to
Indeed.
feel all this stuff.
Yes.
And so we've gone so far to try to be nice
Yes.
that we're unwilling to tell the truth.
So so now you know part of my what I call my misfit youth or my checkered past. I was a raging libertarian.
Yes.
I also ran in Maoist circles in my
Oh,
youth.
no, you didn't.
Yeah, I used to bounce at punk clubs
Okay.
in Houston, Texas.
All right.
And two of them were fronts for Maoist organizations that were funneling money down to the Nicaraguan Sandinistas. So
What?
I've actually sat in on struggle sessions, and I know a lot about Maoist doctrine firsthand. One of the principles that they talk about
Yeah.
in their organizing is something called the mass line tactic.
Mass line
Yeah.
tactic.
And it's a way of creating mass movements on the left and a
Okay.
way of using communist doctrine to direct that movement.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But they have a specific doctrine which says this isn't possible on the right. That right-wing people, because of their beliefs in individualism, and they're willing to suborn the individual, are not subject to it. And it won't work with them. You cannot mass organize people on the right the way you can on the left. But there's also another part to that. It's not only that you can't organize people on the right, it gives them this ability to use tolerance as a technique to subvert.
Oh my God.
And it's been a long-known tactic since the 1800s. The communists wrote about it in depth, Trotsky especially. They use our tolerance as a mechanism to... So if you want to, you can Google something called entryism, which was a Trotskyite term. Entryism.
Okay.
And it's a technique they use for infiltrating organizations under the guise of tolerance and subverting it.
Oh my God.
And that's what's been done to it.
So they're using our love and care and forgiveness and grace against us.
Yes, and it's a well-developed, perfectly perfected propaganda and subversion technique that they have absolutely perfected. To the point where I've now come to the point where I think on the right, we can only organize in small groups, and we have to use swarming tactics with small groups.
Yeah.
Large groups will inevitably be subverted.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Mr. Younger, please tell our viewers how they can support you. Is there a website they can go to donate to your legal funds? Where can people go to follow and help you?
So this case is on the front lines of this battle for one specific reason.
Okay.
My son presents as a girl only with his mother.
Right.
With everyone else he presents as a boy. And I think the left has made a big deal out of this case because they decided that if we can get this boy, we can get anyone.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
This issue is much bigger than the stuff we've talked about here, but you can learn about worldwide movements and other people that are going through this. If you go to Facebook and you search for Save James.
Save James.
A network of volunteers operate it, and there's a donation link there, but more importantly, there's a lot of information which will help you get active in your local community and start stopping this in your state.
I love it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your bravery.